In this Schrade Saturday video, we're going to take a quick look at a short knife from the folks at Schrade. It's the new for 2017 SCHCC1 money clip knife. At least that's what they're calling this. I actually think it would make a great small survival kit knife. We're going to talk about that and the rest of the features on this knife coming up on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. So the folks at Schrade were kind enough to send me another of their new for 2017 knives, and that is the SCHCC1, and they're calling this the money clip or card clip knife. And the reason for that is because it comes with a thermoplastic sheath that basically has a money clip or card clip on back of it. So before we get to doing any of that knife stuff and talking about the specs of this, let me just address real quickly. I know I'll see comments below. I know I will, that this is a knockoff or rip-off of a Gerber knife. Gerber's got a very similar knife as this, and I looked at both of them. Really, the only thing that is similar, there's two features that are really similar. Other than that, they're just totally different. One is the money clip, the fact that it does have a money clip, even though the clips are a little bit different design. And the other one is this retention system, which is basically just a kind of a springy disc that goes in the middle, and you just push it, pull it out, and it's got the ring hole in it, so finger hole. So that's the only the finger hole and the finger hole retention is the main shared feature. But the blade shape is different. The way it's everything else about it's different. The blade steel is different, and the price is different. I think Gerber's going for about 35 bucks or so, 30 bucks on Amazon. The list price on this one is significantly less than that, so it's going to be even lower when it does make it to Amazon. So that, I just wanted to address that right now. So yeah, it's very similar, but I think it's a cool idea. So we're going to take a look at it. So without a bunch more rambling, let's talk about the specs and details of this thing, and then we'll take it down to the old stump top, and we'll do some of that knife stuff. And yeah, we're going to check the balance of this one too in just a minute. Once again, this is the Schrade SCHCC1 money or card clip full tang fixed blade knife. The knife has a 1.9 inch or 4.83 centimeter drop point blade of 8CR13 MOV steel with a 1.7 inch or 4.32 centimeter handle with a finger hole. The overall length of the knife is 3.6 inches or 9.14 centimeters, and it weighs just under 1 ounce or 28 grams. Comes with a thermoplastic belt sheath / money clip or card clip, and the MSRP on Schrade's website for this knife is just $17.20. Okay, well that was some of the specs and close-ups and details of the SCHCC1 from the folks at Schrade. Again, thanks to the folks at Schrade that were kind enough to send me this so I could show it to you. And then I got to tell you, I don't know if you can see this really well. In case you did see this in the close-ups, the point is not exactly perfect on this knife. And the reason for that is because it was extremely perfect until I was fiddling around with it and I dropped it and it hit the tile pretty much, the tile floor pretty much point down. So I kind of touched it up a little bit with a fine stone, but it is not as good as it was. I didn't spend much time on it. So look at that, look at that. See that right there? That is a mosquito. So anyway, real quick, before we get down to the old stump top, I can show you this easier. So they say this thing will hold like 5 credit cards and some money. I've got about, I don't know, probably 10, survival on purpose business cards here. And you can just kind of give you an idea of the size. It's just a standard business card. And you can see that it's, how it compares to the size of a business card. Pretty lightweight, as you heard. And it just, I think it's a pretty cool little knife whether you need it for a money clip. It's always nice to have a knife on you. Oh, and one more thing before we get down to the old stump top and doing some of that knife stuff. Because this thing is under 2 inches, for those of you who live in occupied territory here in the U.S., I think that would be legal anywhere. I know we have some communist-controlled areas that they don't allow a blade over 2 inches, which is unbelievable to me, but that's the way it is. So, and maybe other countries that might have some similar restrictions, this may be legal there. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a legislator, so, and I'm certainly not law enforcement. I'll be sure and check that with your local laws, but it does qualify for an under 2 inch blade, and so maybe that'll be helpful to you. So now let's get down to the old stump top and get to doing some of that nice stuff. First of all, I want to show you, I have a standard Altoids tin, and with the sheath on it, it almost fits really close. That gives you a really good indication kind of the size. However, if you wanted to make yourself some sort of just a temporary sheath, if this, and you wanted to create some kind of survival kit in about this size, you can see that it does fit in there very, very well. And I think this is, in my opinion, would be very much preferable to like a scalpel blade or a razor blade or X-Acto knife blade that's often in these kits, and it doesn't take up much room. You could put make a cheap, very simple little duct tape sheath or something on here just to keep the blade protected and covered, and put it in the bottom of one of these kits, and it leaves you a lot of room for other stuff. And you'd have a certainly not as good as a large fixed blade, but definitely you'd have a blade that would be much more functional and capable than a razor blade or something like that. So just wanted to show you that. We'll set that aside now. And now let's talk about how capable this blade would be. So first thing I'm going to do, and I got one of these cards. This is definitely cardstock. It's not paper, so it's not going to be the same, but we can at least see how well it cuts. So you can see that's pretty good. Not too shabby. So there's that. We'll have to burn that up in a minute, because we're gonna have some fire, right? Let's just be silly. Why not, right? I got some pretty tough wood here, and now if you were trying to carve on this wood to make a fire or whatever, you can see that it's not a heavy-duty, supersized knife. So, but you can definitely get it right here, and you get your thumb up here like so, and you can get a pretty good grip on it. It's not going to be for heavy-duty work, whatever, but if you need to do some carving on something bigger, you can. Let me find another piece of wood here. Suppose you need to split this wood. You can either baton it, or we can do it this way. Maybe we're going to try it and see. Let's take this thing here and then drive it down in. Alright, so let's just turn it the other way. I'm trying to keep this where you can see it so I don't have to readjust the camera, because basically that's just called lazy. As you can see, just maintaining pressure back here and kind of holding it in place, hitting on this end just to kind of keep it in place, because it is a real short blade. It's not much to hold on to. And there you go. I'm beating the heck out of this little thing, and it's hanging on pretty good, so can't complain about that. So let's see if we can split it. Alright, good enough. Just really want to get it down where I can try to get a corner to carve some feathers off of. And we got that nice pithy stuff in the middle there. But let's see what we can do with this thing now. And others people that say, well, I never had to baton wood or split it in my life to make a fire. You can usually find smaller stuff. Well, when you got a knife this small, you might want to split it up just because it's easier to work with when you can carve over some off of the interior and off of the a smaller angle, maybe a sharper, more acute angle that you might get when you split the wood. And so, not too bad there actually to be such a small knife. Definitely, you can see my finger there from squeezing kind of hard trying to control it. It's definitely not going to be the most comfortable knife that you've ever used, but and certainly this is doing some pretty extreme use for this little knife. It's really not what it's intended for. It's more for everyday, like cutting open boxes or cutting string or whatever. Just have a knife with you, and it doesn't take up much room, and using it for something else anyway. But you know me, right? So next, let's take a little bit of the old fat wood here, because I like me some fat wood. And let's see if we can carve some of this off. And it's a little harder to do because this is some old tough fat wood, but let's just see. Let's try this side. The mosquitoes are active right now. So there's the old little bit of fat wood. I guess you know what's next. This thing does not feel like it has a really sharp spine on it, but I got to give it a try. So, and I know this ferro rod works really well. So let's see what we can come up with. Let's just see what we can get. Ah! Okay, there you go. That's for all you folks who are going to say, you should be pulling that thing instead of pushing it. I get it, but I have also been accused of having a really hard head. As Emily Latella used to say, never mind. There's a blast for you. I will return. Okay, so you can see the spine of this thing now. I just took the old one of my sharpening tools, which is a Smith Diamond Stone, and basically used the coarse edge and just rubbed it across the back for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, not very long. And now, let's see what we got. Haha, wow. So, tremendous difference, and yeah, it's not quite as pretty, but didn't hurt it, and it just added to the functionality, and it only took just a minute, so not too shabby there for the old Schrade. Okay, so if you watch many of my videos, I'm sure you know that I do my absolute best to maintain one of the highest state-of-the-art testing facilities probably in the, at least in the YouTube world, if not in the entire knife world. And one of the things I'm most proud of, I think, is the absolute cutting-edge balance testing facility I have here. And it's always a challenge to calibrate each different style and size blade to the testing apparatus. So I spent just a minute off camera hoping I've got the distance right on the calibration, but we're going to try. As you can tell, this, as you can probably guess, a small knife like this is extremely difficult to calibrate, but whether or not it's balanced. But we're gonna try. I think we got it, so we're gonna check and see now. That was really my third try. That's 3 in a row though, so we're going to call that one absolutely balanced. Okay, I have to be honest, during the initial calibration process, I was having my doubts as to whether or not I was going to be able to get the equipment properly set up and the distance set up, but as it turns out, once you get the calibration correct and the distance right, this little sucker is balanced, so I got to give it a A+ on that. So what about the overall impression of this little knife? It's certainly not going to replace a full-size belt knife under any stretch of the imagination. It's not really what it's for. It's not even, in my opinion, going to replace a decent size everyday carry folder. But for a little auxiliary blade that has a dual function as a money clip, or for a much more functional blade for a small survival kit than say a scalpel blade or a razor blade, I think this thing has great potential. You saw just literally two or 3 minutes with a diamond stone, and it strikes ferro rods like nobody's business. Does a good job of cutting. You can use it for so many different tasks, including just your everyday knife tasks. And finally, if you live in communist occupied territory here where they have a limit of less than 2 inches on a blade length, this could be a good choice for you too. Once again, check your local authorities to make sure, but I do think it's got a lot of potential, in my opinion, beyond the whole just a credit card money clip thing, which is cool in itself. But Chuck Norris can kill 2 stones with 1 bird. Honestly, I think my first choice of use for this is going to be in a small survival kit. HCR13 MOV steel, which Schrade does an excellent job with that steel. Holds an edge good, takes an edge good. It's not too hard to work with, and it's strong. So that again is the SCHCC1. That's going to be coming up sometime in 2017. I mean, it is already on the Schrade website for sale, so I can't imagine it'll be too much longer before it hits Amazon and some of the other big knife retailers. So once again, thanks to the folks at Schrade for sending me this so I can show it to you. And as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for clicking that thumbs up, for sharing this video with all your friends, and thank you so very much for doing all your Amazon shopping through the Survival on Purpose links. I really appreciate the support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident. So be prepared. I'll see you next time. without any more rambling, for those of you who live in communist-controlled territory, how many times have you ever known me to give up in defeat?